120,000, 130,000, 140,000.
150,000? Impossible!
180,000. I don't believe it. He couldn't. This can't be happening.
No wonder he beat the hell out of us. He's a monster.
What's going on, guys? Hope you're all having a good day. The Battlefield 6 global launch was an absolute success. To think that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 was going to come anywhere close to this game when it comes out is kind of a complete absurdity at this point, because it's pretty clear that Battlefield is probably going to be the breadwinner this year. I know Call of Duty sells well every year, no matter what it is, and with their reducing of skill-based matchmaking permanently being added into their game, we do have an opportunity here to where both games seem like they have a very solid chance of coming out with some strong titles this year. But if you're going to go around and tell me that Black Ops 7 is going to do better than Battlefield 6 this year, I think you are kind of sitting underneath a rock at this point, because the game launched within an hour of over 740,000 players within the first hour of the game being available, which is an absolutely insane number. It broke pretty much most of the previous records of all their games for sure. They've never had a launch like this before, and they beat the current Steam numbers record for Call of Duty overall, and that game covers all of their games. You know, every Call of Duty that's gone underneath the Call of Duty HQ has been part of that player count, so that makes the number a little bit more impressive. But there is one slight issue that I have with the idea of the player count being that high. I do think it's a little skewed, just because there's the fact that people were trying to get into the game. You had over 500,000 people on some of this stuff that I saw, because I watched people getting onto the game through streams while I was at work. I'm a hard-working citizen, so I wasn't able to get off the day and play games all day, so I'm sitting here watching everyone, wait through a queue. I knew the launch of the game was going to be probably a little rocky, which I'll get into in just a moment, but it's the fact that there was 500,000 people playing the game, and maybe 500, I say playing the game, but they're all sitting in a queue. So they have the game open, and then of course that means that there's 500,000 people waiting just to be in the game through a queue, and then maybe another 200,000 actually playing the game for whatever server capacity they chose. So what that means is that, while the number is impressive, 747,000 or whatever it is a little skewed technically, or at least that's what I'm predicting. Maybe somebody in the comments down below can prove me wrong on why, 747 people were actually all in the game at the same time, which I highly doubt that there was. But it is impressive that, later in the day today, there's over 500,000 people playing the game, and there's no queues, there's nothing to get in. So they definitely expanded the server capacity already, and who knows by now if the numbers have gone up or they've gone down. But other than that, the player count for this game is just completely absurd, and that's just on one platform. This game launches on the new gen consoles in Steam and the EA app, which the EA app had the worst thing ever. I don't know why anyone wants to launch anything through the EA app if you're playing on, Steam or PC, because you have Steam. I mean, Steam, it was flawless for me. I opened the game, nothing had any issues, and apparently with the EA app, it was telling you that you had to re-download the entire game, or you didn't purchase, the multiplayer or just the game in general, so you couldn't even play, which is a complete blunder on EA's app and DICE, which, what do you expect at this point? It's a Battlefield launch, guys. But they did, compensate that. They gave out some XP tokens and just kind of a sorry note, which I'm displaying on the screen here. I'm not going to go over exactly what they said, but, it's nice that they're giving out something for those who were affected by that, because I know there were streamers and people who were trying to get on and enjoy the game, and they're running into the technical issues. So it does suck, but, it ended up passing, and everybody's been able to get on the game now. And, yeah, I mean, first impressions of the game seem like they're extremely positive. I haven't really seen much negativity over the game, other than the fact, there's a couple of things really, but I'm going to go over that later in the video, obviously. But for now, I want to go over just kind of the general enjoyment that I had for the game, just kind of like the things that I wanted to go over. It was just kind of like the fact that the entire game is just a relaxed shooter. Like, the entire time, I know there's chaos going on no matter what, and there's explosions and buildings falling on you, and everything else in between, but I really did feel like it was just kind of like a very relaxing feeling. You walk up to a point on any of the maps for Conquest, for example, which I really haven't messed with any of the other modes, and of course my opinion can change on that, but at least for Conquest just felt like the nicest time ever. It was just kind of like doing whatever, you know, whether you're trying to shoot down helicopters and stuff with AA guns, or if you're trying to, you know, hold down a site right next to the enemy spawn. You just kind of hang out, chill out with the boys, and set up a position and hold an objective so you can help your team win the game, if that's the case, because that's, you know, kind of the main part of the Battlefield series is playing the objective. There's the PTFO for a reason. The other part that I very much enjoy about the game is just playing it overall. It's just how cinematic the game is. No matter what's happening, doesn't matter if you're running with a squad down a tight alleyway, or if you're, you know, sitting watching the helicopters and jets fly over you. The entire time you're playing the game, no matter what it is, it's just so cinematic looking. I'm not sure exactly what they did or how they made everything work the way it does, but the entire time, I think, you know, just the visuals of everything look fantastic, and it's a very much a step up from other FPS titles that are out there on the market. In my opinion, I think that this is one of the better looking FPS games out there on the market right now. And the other half of it is the fact that the sound design is top notch. I haven't played a game that had this much attention to its sound design details, and I can't even remember. I think the only one that's also coming out is Arc Raiders, that has really good sound quality and design, and lo and behold, that game is being made by ex-DICE developers as well. So, you know, you just have two games that are coming out that are showing off just extremely high quality stuff. You know, Battlefield 6, Arc Raiders, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but it's just the fact that, like, you have really high quality stuff, and then you have Call of Duty just kind of festering over on the side, just doing whatever it can with Black Ops 7, because pretty much nobody is enjoying that game at this point. I did want to talk about the fact that with Call of Duty's player count, it dropped to about 55,000 from the usual 75 that were playing the open beta. So if that's ended and the game is still teetering around a solid 55,000 players for all their modes, for Black Ops 6 and Warzone and everything else they have included in the HQ, that means that you only had a whopping 25,000 people potentially playing your open beta on Steam. That's fucking awful. That sounds so bad. I mean, no wonder they're freaking out and trying to switch over their game to make things as good as possible. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, the fact that anybody could be excited for Call of Duty when they've made the same garbage game 6 years in a row, basically, since MW 2019. They're all basically the fucking same. And so now you have Battlefield, and they're showing that they're willing to make their games different every 5 to 6 years in a, you know, fairly upgraded version of itself every single time. I'm not counting 2042. That one can sit over there in the corner. But, you know, Battlefield 1 was a huge improvement. Battlefield 5 was pretty good too, at least in my opinion. I know people had turmoil with that one as well for other reasons. And then 2042 didn't do well, so yeah, seeing Battlefield 6 just completely blow everything out of the water. The hype surrounding the game was absolutely real and warranted. I mean, the game is basically absolute cinema, as they want to call it. But of course, there's going to be some things that people can find to talk about. You know, there's always ways to improve the games. And, you know, even though, you know, I talk some smack about Call of Duty and how bad it is, you know, overall, I usually want to talk about the things that could make the game better. I always said that skill-based matchmaking and disbanding lobbies would make that game better, and now that they've implemented that, it has improved my opinion about the game. But of course, Battlefield has some opinions and issues that are going on with the game that the community is already bringing up, because, you know, what would the gaming community be without complaints and, you know, things to make the game better? It's just whether or not the developers actually listen and take that feedback to heart. So, of course, you know, the main comment that I see is the fact that there's, you know, a lot of comments about the campaign being kind of mid. I've only played the first 2 missions, and I think I'm pretty sure the game's going to be fairly front-loaded, because from what I've heard, the further you get into the campaign, the more degraded the quality becomes, and then it kind of just teeters out. The team that was working on the campaign for Battlefield 6 had a lot of turmoil with EA, and it seems like it was a fairly rocky development for that. So it's the fact that they're able to put out at least something, a campaign, which is what Battlefield players usually say. It's like, hey, at least make a campaign for your games, is nice to see. And from what I've played so far, I'm mostly enjoying myself. It's a nice little showcase for what they've done with the series. And of course, my opinions could change. But the other thing that people are talking about is just how slow the progression feels and how long it takes to level up your weapons. I mean, come on, guys. It's not like you're playing these arena shooters like X-Defiant and all these other stuff where you need to have your guns leveling up 8 times or 3 times in one match. I mean, it starts off really strong at first, and then it teeters out over time where it makes you have to put in more effort. And, you know, the grind to, what is it, like level 30 for your weapons doesn't even seem that crazy, or it might be 50. I don't know. I've gotten one weapon up to like level 20, and that's about it, which is in the background, the LMG for this video. And it's nice just kind of being kind of a veteran Battlefield player, because while I didn't play, you know, the oldest titles, I did start around Bad Company 2 and played all through that, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. That's kind of the time when I got into Battlefield. And it's really funny seeing all these new players get into the game for the first time, because, man, they are not adjusting properly. But I feel like a lot of them have the ability to do so, and hopefully we can see some good retention for the game. The portal mode is a big highlight. I'm going to be making a lot more videos probably about that very soon. So make sure you guys stay in tune, and I'll be making sure to make as many videos about Battlefield 6 and just kind of the general news around Call of Duty as much as possible. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I make a video pretty much every single day. And yeah, see you guys later. Bye.